absolutely not.
Well, okay, we have
What I'm saying is that like it never would have happened. The Republicans wouldn't have let it happen.
we have Joe Walsh joining us now with amazing hair.
Yeah,
it's out of control. It's completely out of control. I apologize.
So I want to introduce Joe, and anybody who is familiar with both of us will know that ideologically we are not exactly twins.
We are not brothers.
But we are, I think, we have become online friends to a certain degree. It started off several years ago where, I admit I was being kind of a dick to Joe. And then he DM'd me. I was still a small account. And he DM'd me and he corrected me on something. And I took that correction. I was like, okay, I understand now. And I stopped being a dick. And then we started having like we would debate occasionally, but it was always respectful, and we learned some things from one another. And I think about a year ago I came on Joe's show, and then somebody requested that I have Joe on, and so he has returned the favor, and that's how we got here. We don't agree on everything, but I think we agree on some things now, and I think mostly we just agree on there's a real advantage to civility in debate. So welcome to the show, Joe.
It's great to be here. Mahan, did I pronounce that right?
It's Mahan. Yeah, that's right.
Great.
Glad to have you here, Joe.
Great to be here. And look, my friend, there was plenty back then that I deserved to be called a dick about. So don't take it all back.
So the first thing I'd like to do is congratulate you based on transitory properties on your Super Bowl win last night, because you share a name with the former guitar player of the Eagles, and the Eagles share a name with the Super Bowl winner. So by transitory properties, you won the Super Bowl last night. Congratulations.
I haven't watched a lot of football lately, but I did watch. I'm just tired of the Chiefs. Good to see the Eagles win.
What are your thoughts on Joe Walsh, the guitar player, and how often do you get confused with him?
A lot. You could argue maybe when they write the history book, the reason I got elected to Congress is because people thought they were voting for the other Joe Walsh. Yes.
Does your Maserati do 185?
I'll say. You know what? I was never a huge fan of him, but I did always love the Eagles. Were you an Eagles fan?
I was an Eagles fan, and I really like Joe Walsh,
James Gang
specifically too. I really like I like his singles and his contributions to the Eagles.
I reached out to him each time I ran to see if he would endorse me and maybe do a commercial with me. His politics weren't mine back then, so he didn't do it. But we're actually more closely aligned than you think. He's pretty libertarian. I'm pretty libertarian.
So yeah, I can see that.
He's lived a far more interesting life than I have.
So now the next question I have in terms of an icebreaker is I was thinking about this yesterday. If they were to do a remake of Being John Malkovich, but they were to use a different actor or actress, who do you think would be a great actor or actress to be the new Being? I was going with Being Christopher Walken. I think would be great, but
I'll throw a curveball and oddball. Brad Pitt.
Being Brad, that would be a good one. Yeah.
Being Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
It'd be hard to not look in the mirror all day if I were Brad Pitt.
That sounds like a long day for me.
I've been really into Brad Pitt lately. I to relax and get away from politics, I watch movies. That's my drug. And I just Once Upon a Time in Hollywood from a few years back. I love Brad Pitt. I think because he's so fucking good looking that we've never appreciated. He's pretty decent. He's already like 61 years old. Isn't that amazing?
It is. It is
incredible.
Aren't you about the same age?
Yeah, he and I are the same age. Nahan, you're a kid. You're a punk.
What? Come on. I'm in my mid-30s. Give me a break.
30s. Oh my God, 30s.
35 this year, mind you.
Oh, what a baby. What a baby.
Do you
You got
consider
the
yourself
whole world in front of you.
okay? Do you consider yourself
I
more
hope so.
Gen X or baby boomer? Because technically you're a baby boomer, but I would like
Yeah.
I like sometimes I know there's like this whole Generation Jones thing or whatever. But do you identify more with boomer types or Gen X types?
I not boomer. So like I would be on the very, very tail end of the boomers. So I don't identify much with boomers. I think of the 40s and the 50s, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
so we're on the very end.
like if you grew up and like you remember identifying with the kids in the Breakfast Club or whatever, you're Gen X. Depending, it doesn't matter.
You're Gen X. Well, so I went to high school in the late 70s, early 80s, college in the early mid 80s. Yeah, I don't identify as a boomer.
Also, speaking of which, I was reading up on your wiki page,
Huh.
and this is a great segue into the next thing. You went to first of all, you went to Grinnell for a while, right?
Tiny little school in Iowa. Yeah.
My one of my best friends in the whole world went to Grinnell.
Shut up.
I've actually been there to visit her.
Do you know roughly what years would she have been there?
This would have been would have been 91, 92, somewhere around there.
After me. Okay.
So, but
great school. Great school. In the middle of nowhere.
Really, really was a nice school, and like nice little community too. Cute, quaint little town.
It was, and again, our politics. When I went to school in the 80s, Reagan was president. I loved Ronald Reagan. Don't you two get mad at me.
Everybody knows this.
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
Everybody knows this.
But when Reagan won each time, the entire campus wore black armbands because it was a very liberal place.
Mm-hmm.
So I organized a group of us who wore red, white, and blue armbands. But what I loved about it was a very political campus. I loved that.
So, and then
I do love that.
And then you actually eventually you go to grad school at University of Chicago?
I went to grad school at University of Chicago, got a degree in public policy.
So that must have been a really conservative education for you, he said sarcastically.
Very sarcastically. Now, the business school there is very conservative. You're right. But no, I went to the public policy school. It was, more left of center. But I loved, oh my God, I love that. Have you ever been on that campus?
Oh, yeah.
Love.
Yeah. Another fantastic campus that actually know several people that either went there or were professors there.
Yeah.
And some of them played pickup games with Barack Obama while they were there.
It's such a cool place. It's an academic place. A very heavy grad school community there. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have gone there as an undergrad because it was pretty intense.
Yeah, I have another really close friend that was there for grad school.
Yeah.
And I would, I was living in Chicago at the time. And so
where'd you live in Chicago?
Irving Park in Pulaski.
Yeah.
So, and, I was, I don't know if you know this about me, but I was a youth minister in the past life and mostly worked with college students. And I just sit down and have Bible studies with them and stuff.
Yeah.
But one kid that I used to meet with quite regularly worked on your worked on your campaign.
Seriously?
2010. He was a big fan of yours. Yeah.
Who was that?
Huh?
Who was that? Who?
Oh, I don't even remember his name.
That's wild.
Yeah, this was back in the day.
Oh my God.
I was talking about how you're not like other Republicans and stuff.
Even back then, he could see a glimmer of hope. A glimmer.
It's like silver linings.
He went to Northwestern.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
So.
Now by the way, Joe, I've got a list of the names that I want you to tell me if you're friends with them or not. Are you ready?
Fire away, you.
Cindy Yates. Are you
Oh
guys?
my
Are you guys
God.
friends?
Oh my God. Talk about a blast from the past.
I mean,
He was
she
87 years old when I ran against him, I think.
Yeah. Yes, he was. He was.
Oh my God.
The incumbent
He was the incumbent when I
in
first
the
ran
ninth
for Congress.
district.
1996. Northwestern was in that district. It was a very liberal district, but I ran because I was pissed off because this guy had been in Congress since 1947. And like nobody ever saw the guy anymore. That just pissed me
Yeah.
off.
They tried to tell you were going to use the age card on him, and you were like, "No, I didn't do that." He's, even Yates said age was not the factor in any
We
problem.
did do some funny things though. I rode my bicycle around the district to show our difference in ages. We also offered, I think, a $10,000 reward for the first person in the district who could see Sidney Yates in person.
Yeah,
Because he never came back home.
A cake decorated with 87 candles.
But
Yeah,
I lost.
You lost. Well, I mean, we all lose sometimes. What about Newt Gingrich? Are you guys buddies?
Newt?
With
Gingrich?
Newt?
In the day we were, when I first went to Congress and he helped get me elected, just a jackass he's turned out to be.
He's an absolute piece of garbage,
I
would say.
You know what? I wanted to ask you about a little bit. When you were like part of the Tea Party thing, right? The Tea Party.
Damn right, loud and proud Tea Party.
So, and according to your wiki article, you had more town hall meetings. And I mean, this is like you actually.
This is
being what you claim to be.
Doing what you say and saying what you do.
You had more town hall meetings than anybody else in congressional history.
That's when I die, I want that on my tombstone. It's funny, but that's the thing.
I held all the congressional meetings, town hall meetings of all people on your tombstone. I'll make sure that happens.
Done. Make that happen. That's the thing I'm most proud of because I barely won. I won by 290 votes. Half the district hated me. So I came home all the time and said, anybody, come get in front of me. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. Come ask me questions, even if you don't like me. And so I did it 332 times. It's the thing I'm most proud of.
So do you think this is like a lot of people are asking what the Democrats can do right now because they're in such a minority? Do you think they should take a page from your playbook and have town hall meetings and really get out in front of people's faces, whether they voted for Trump or whether they voted for Biden or whether they voted for somebody else, and just talk to the voters and bypass the media and speak directly to the voters the way you do?
Yeah. Hell yeah. I've come this close to becoming a Democrat just to show Democrats how to do this and show Democrats how to fight. Democrats come across as so like elitist and academic and careful and cautious in what they say. I mean, most politicians are that way. Obviously, Trump's not, but he's just a total bullshit artist. But politicians generally are afraid to take answers off the cuff, and they're afraid to be encountered by people who disagree with them. I loved that. I think the American people need to see Democrats that way. Just be fucking real. There's like a lack of realness about Democrats. It's a shame because most Americans are more with them than Trump.
So what do you think of people like Jasmine Crockett or AOC? Do you identify more with them because they have that kind of politics or because their ideals are so different from yours? Like, where do you fall on the AOC Jasmine Crockett train?
It's a really good question. My answer is always this, and it's not a cop-out. I want to see a fucking Democratic populist, a man or a woman who's a fighter, more so than what their policies are. So Jasmine and AOC, they are populist figures, baby. So I love that. If Bernie were 30 years younger, it would be Bernie. Even if his politics aren't mine, Democrats need a populist fighter because we're living in a populist moment. And the Democrats have missed this moment so far.
Mhm.
Yeah. So who do you think that is though? Like, yeah, Bernie is like, going out the door. Unfortunately, we did not get to benefit from, his leadership in that sense of the way. However, like, who do you think there is that is going to be the next person to lead the Democratic Party?
Don't see it. I'll give you my George H.W. Bush impression. Don't see it. Don't see it. I don't see it. I don't know who that is. That's a big problem. Who is it? I don't see a national figure who's this way. I don't see a national figure, man or woman, white or black, Democrat, who can fucking roll up their sleeves, sit at a bar and go at it with anybody. Tough, respectful. I don't see it. It's a real problem.
Yeah, I think it's a
like
joke.
Gavin
The
Newsom
fact
is-
that Adam Kinzinger is like somebody I can see representing the Democratic Party as a Republican. Like the fact that he is speaking more truth to the Democratic movement than the Democrats are. It should really be an internal reflection thing for us.
Yeah, but here's the problem. If Joe Walsh and Adam Kinzinger came out tomorrow and said, we are formally joining the Democratic Party, I guarantee you the Democratic Party would not embrace us.
I don't think anybody should be joining the Democratic Party right now.
Well, but you got to formally make that step. I want to help the Democrats. They're the only game in town. I'm not interested in a third party at this time anymore. MAGA is evil. MAGA's got to be defeated. Right now, it's the Democrats. We got to fucking help them get their act together.
What if
that's the thing,
AOC
though.
ran for president and in the next term, I think she'll be old enough, and she asked you to be her campaign manager?
Rip everybody's husband.
What if AOC
Rip all husbands?
Okay. What if she asked you to be her campaign manager?
Well, I'll answer it like this, my friend. If AOC was running against JD Vance or any Republican who supports Trump, I'd give up my right arm to help AOC get elected. But I'm different with a lot of never Trumpers, and this is really important. Like, yeah, I'm a never Trumper, but my red line is any Republican who voted for Trump in 2020 after 4 years of that guy in the White House, there's no fucking way I can support any Republican like that. I would never support Nikki Haley. I would never support Chris Christie. By the way, Adam Kinzinger, my good buddy, Adam Kinzinger supported Trump in 2020. So did Liz Cheney.
He did.
So that's my red line, which means I'll probably
I think they're learning the hard way, though. They're learning the hard way. They're like, oh my God, what the fuck did we do?
It took January.
It's an embarrassing moment, but it's genuinely like the fact that they're doing it publicly and saying, oh my God, what did we do? I do respect the people that do that.
We welcome converts whenever they came. I voted for Trump in 2016. When I first came out in 2018 and said, I'm opposed to him, a lot of people who were opposed to him from the beginning didn't like the fact that I jumped on the bandwagon. So you're right. We accept converts all the time. I just don't think I could probably ever support a Republican again because I believe they're such a threat. So I'd support
there's no existence of the Republican Party anymore. It's funny that the people that were being called rhinos are like now a part of this rhino party. Like there is no, where are the Republicans? Where are they? Like, there is no such thing. And it's disappointing because I'm all for, conservative efforts in regards to the government. Like I'm not a Republican. I'm also not a Democrat though. I'm just a person that has thoughts and ideas and feelings. And the fact that I can't find a single Republican. I mean, Cassidy disappointed me with RFK nomination. He voted to push that to the Senate floor. Like I couldn't even find faith in that man. Like where are the Cowboys? Like
Nahan, you know where they are?
Where are the people?
You know where they are? They left. We left. There's no room in the party for people like us anymore.
Elon is taking over Texas.
That actually is a question I wanted to ask you. And that's like the way that they talk about rhinos. And like to them, you would be a rhino. But to me, Trump is the rhino.
No. I'm pretty sure Joe Walsh is a traitor to the Republican
well,
Party.
yeah. But that you're right.
Not even a rhino. Not even a rhino.
Like when they say rhino, they're referring to anybody that doesn't toe the Trump line, that is now or ever was a Republican. But but really, and this is interesting because I was thinking about like with Hitler, and not getting into accusing anybody of being Nazis or anything, but you'll have people that will be like, Hitler was really a socialist because the National Socialist Party, and it's like Hitler took over the National Socialist Party. He was not a socialist. The poem starts, first they came for the socialists, right?
Hitler hated Christians too.
The point is the like there is a takeover of the Republican Party. And Trump has taken it over, and the MAGAs have taken it over, and they want to talk about rhinos and being they're the ones that are actually Republicans in name only. And the most recent example is this whole Musk thing where with Doge and all that, Doge or however you pronounce it. Like they to me, like that is so anti-conservative to give such unilateral power to the executive branch to annul the entire power of Congress. Anyway, what are your thoughts on all of that, on the current state of the Republican Party, and how is it even still a conservative party?
I don't think it even exists anymore.
No. In the dinosaur days, and I was a Republican my whole life until about 4 or 5 years ago, you were what you were based on where you stood on issues. So I was a crazy Tea Party right-wing guy, and I would go after the establishment Republicans, and I would call them rhinos based on issues. But once Trump came on the scene, issues no longer mattered. So you were either a rhino or a real Republican based on
rhino or a dino.
Or a dino based on where you stood on Trump. So it didn't matter if you wanted to cut taxes or raise taxes, give money to Ukraine or not, strengthen the border or not. Where do you stand on Trump? Remember when he ran for re-election in 2020, Trump, first time in party history that a party did not have a platform. Where they stood on issues.
Donald Trump was the platform. Still is.
But
actually, Joe, I say nowadays that Trump is the Overton window.
Oh, complete. And everybody asks me all the time. No, I've been saying this for a long time. That party is never coming back. My Ronald Reagan party is never coming back. A party of free markets and free capital and capitalism and free speech and opportunity. That party's never coming back. Not in my lifetime. Ever.
Do you think that it's even something that could exist in this day and age? Anyhow, though, I don't think that. I mean, again, you guys got the gray hairs and I don't, right? So a question I would have for you in regards to that is, other than Ronald Reagan, when was the last time we had somebody in power like we see in Trump right now? Like, because I don't see it.
What do you mean?
I don't recognize that in history.
What do you mean by somebody in power like we have in Trump right now? What I'm saying is like somebody that has the capabilities, somebody that is, sitting in the president's seat, like somebody that has had this much influence and is this bad of a guy. Like, when was the last time that happened? Because I don't recall it in history, and I'm a history buff myself. So like, I don't get it at all.
Well, look, and you two may disagree with me. I despise Donald Trump. I think he's the most horrible human being who's ever lived. But he's the product of a broken political system. He's the product of a broken politics. I mean, I voted for him in 2016 because I wanted disruption. I wanted to burn Washington down.
You didn't vote for Bernie.
Bernie, by the way, I think would have beaten Trump in that general election.
He would have. Yes, he would have, but he got fucked.
Bernie was a disruptor.
Royally.
We wanted disruption. So he wins. He's a bad, evil disruptor. But the problem, the reality is our politics still sucks, and we do still need disruption. The Democrats need a good disruptor.
Yeah.
I think that we have plenty of those.
We've talked about this on the show before, that right now America is angry.
Yes.
And a lot of it is, even, we're 4 years apart. So I think, like, we're kind of similar in the sense that we're the first people that grew up that are not, automatically going to do better than our parents did. We grew up where unions and worker powers were being stripped away. I think one place where the Democrats really lost a lot of steam is they stopped fighting for workers' rights. Although you might have been on the different side of that, but there's a lot of anger that comes from that. And Donald Trump has managed to tap into that anger, even though he has not given any answers to it. He's tapped into it. And I think what the Democrats have failed to do is to tap into that anger and anxiety and all of those things. And Donald Trump's managed to channel it into racism. And I think that's why there are people I know that weren't racist that are now racist, that have been, like, their soul has been corrupted by a combination of Fox News and Donald Trump and stuff like that. But they are not the same person they were in 2015.
You're right. We live in a populist moment. Another way of saying that is regular people are pissed off. And I would argue Democrats just have not recognized this moment. Mm-hmm. Trump's a great demagogue, and he came around and recognized the moment, and he's used the moment to further enrage people and divide us. But the Democrats are sitting over here with their thumbs up their butts, not even recognizing what we're going through. It's infuriating. And then they stroll out like Chuck Schumer, and good God.
Oh my God. Can somebody pause him for a moment though? Like, for Christ's sake, how much more are we going to talk about tomatoes?
Okay.
That's the reason we're worried about tariffs.
Two words I never want to hear joined together again are Chuck Schumer and aroused. Like,
think about that. But maybe the populist voice will come from out here and not in Washington. It's hard to be a member of Congress, trust me, I know, and stand out as a strong voice. Governors, maybe governors out in the states, maybe there's one that will kind of catch fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree with you that it needs to be somebody that taps into the anger, and even
legitimate anger.
Yeah,
taps into the anger and uses that to teach people and bring people together. There's real legitimate reasons why people are pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
But Democrat, and a lot of it, as you said, my friend, has to do with working class people for a lot of different reasons. But tap into that anger, but give hope and give answers instead of what Trump does.
Right. And exactly. And I think that's the way to not just defeat Trump, because Trump won't be running again in 2028.
Maybe not.
I'm always worried that either
he'll never have to vote again.
Constitution, or they run one of his little idiot spawn or something, as a.
What was it? Andy Ogle just put that thing out. He was like, you can run have a third administration.
The way you defeat the whole MAGA philosophy is to actually offer solutions, and not just yelling about MAGA is evil, but tap into the same anger and offer an alternative answer to that. And like, if you're offering genuine answers to the legitimate, and I think that maybe this is what, we'll agree on this, Joe, is the anger is legitimate. There are legitimate reasons people feel angry, and we need the instead of just I think that what happens with a lot of MAGAs is, if you just call them racist or something, then it seems like they take that as their anger is not legitimate. Their frustration is not legitimate. So, like, they are told, for instance, that DEI is bad because of racial quotas, and they're not getting their jobs because they're being given to black people, which is not the case.
Kelly, it's difficult to argue with fools, though.
But
foolish behavior.
Yeah, have you ever argued with your husband? Have you ever argued with your spouse?
Are you kidding?
When you're emotional, you do not argue with logic. You know, have you ever had you do not win arguments with your spouse because you made a better logical point.
Fair.
The people are angry, and we're not going to win that argument with logic unless we can bring them out of their emotions. And the way to do that is first to validate their emotions and say, I understand why you're angry.
So hold on a second, though. I think that Joe can probably agree with me on this about the fact that, like, the Democratic Party uses too much NPR language to connect with the people on the other side.
Fuck yeah.
We are not meeting people where they are, and I think that has been the biggest problem in the messaging on the Democratic side of things.
No.
I don't think that there's no doubt about it. Like, they're like, oh, you want to explain things to me like I'm I have a master's in something, when most of the people that we want to bring over to our side don't even have a college degree. Like, let's get real. Like, let's meet these people where they are. Like, and Joe, like, I would say, like, you've come from that side. So what is the opinion over there on that end?
I was out there every day for 3 months campaigning for Kamala Harris, which is bizarre when you think about it. And I was in battleground state after battleground state. And I would hear every fucking day from regular people the following, a variation of the following. Joe, I know Trump's a fucking asshole, but damn it, those Democrats look down on me. I heard that from everybody. And so America chose the asshole over the party that kind of dismisses them and looks down on them. That's the Democrats' problem. And again, I don't know who it is, but there are too many MSNBC watching. I love Lawrence O'Donnell and all of these, blah, blah, blah. Those ain't the folks you need to reach.
No, absolutely not. No, and I agree with you. And that's the thing. I think, like I said, and like I have always said, is that we need to meet people where they are. Right. Mm-hmm. And like the Democratic Party in this last presidential election was they were talked down to. People felt talked down to when we just needed to meet them where they were and cover issues that were important to the mass majority of people.
Look at the one issue, guys. Look at the one issue. This encapsulates it in a nutshell. Springfield, Ohio, a town of 60,000 good, decent Americans. Over the last 5 years, 20,000 Haitians have been put in that town of Springfield, Ohio. 99.9% of these Haitian migrants are good, hardworking, decent, God-fearing people. 99.9% of the Americans who live in Springfield are as well. But there's one situation, and this was happening all over the country. You take a town of 60,000 and you put 20,000 migrants in that town over 4 to 5 years, that's going to create just budgetary problems.
Oh, well, but Joe, there weren't people put into that town. There were people that town invited.
They were invited.
Completely all agreed. And they've, you and I know the truth. They've added a lot to that community, but it makes all the sense in the world that that's going, when it comes to resources of a municipality in this country, that's going to create some issues that need to be worked out. And both sides wanted to work it out. So what does Trump and MAGA do with that issue?
They make
these Haitian migrants. Yeah, these Haitian migrants. They're committing crimes all over the place. Trump, in a debate, said they're eating your cats and dogs, right? Just ridiculous, ugly, cruel shit. What did the Democrats ever do or say about that issue?
They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
What did the Democrats do?
Not enough.
Nothing.
Not enough.
This is my point.
Not enough. You know, that's the thing. There's evidence, factual documentation of the benefits of the Haitian community in Ohio.
Preach,
why did they not just blast that shit?
Preach. Preach.
Why didn't they blast that?
Preach, sister. You're making my point. So there's a real situation. The Republicans demagogue the shit out of it to scare people, and the Democrats don't even fucking talk about it. When most and this was happening all over the country. So most Americans, this is a real issue. Let's figure this out. That's the Democrats' problem. That's just one issue.
That's the greatest thing, though, to hear from you, because as a person that was involved in the Tea Party movement, like, you guys knew when to talk shit, right? Like, and it made changes. Like, you guys made movements with what you did in the Tea Party. And I think Democrats are just afraid, right? They're so afraid that they're going to get canceled, or, whatever it is that they're afraid about. They're afraid that they're not going to be able to relate to that one person. And it's like, at the end of the day, Kelly and I have talked about the Overton window so often that I'm like, Overton windowed, it's coming out of my ears, right? Like, where do we fix this Overton window? And it's gonna end up making you get canceled by, I don't know, I guess Rick Rain says I'm unsubscribing to you, and my wife is too. I could give two shits. I do not care. Like, we have to get to a place where things are agreeable amongst the masses, right? Right now, our Overton window is within fascism, right? How do we move us away from that? That's what I want to know. Like, do you have any advice in regards to, like, we're a part of a very big movement, which was the Tea Party movement. What advice can you give to Democrats or people on the left that are looking to make a movement like that? Like, what are the things that you can advise for people wanting to make a movement in general?
Oh, that's the $1 million question. They need to fight. They need to get dirty. They need to organize. They can't be afraid of what they say. They need to get their hands dirty. They need to talk like regular people. They got to quit looking down on people. They need to not be afraid to go after Trump every fucking day. I think that's a lesson Democrats think they've learned from this election. Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy. And I don't think Democrats are going to talk that way anymore, because, like, he won and they think that's why they lost, and they didn't emphasize the right issues. Bullshit. There's no more important issue than that. But I don't know. There has to be a man or a woman who rises from the crowd and becomes a principled, fighting, populist resistance voice. And right now, I don't see that on the Democratic side, but
I think that I do see it, though, with Jasmine Crockett and AOC. I think that the problem, however, is that the Democratic Party is not supporting them. And that's the problem, is the Democratic Party needs to have a revamp of the party itself, because, like, what AOC ran for to lead the Democratic Party and she got voted out. Like, we wanted that.
She ran for
that. Like, the old, you gray-haired motherfuckers. Like,
she didn't run.
No.
You have to be out. She did not run to lead the Democratic Party. She ran to be the chair of a committee.
Well, she wanted to lead a committee, right? Yeah. Right. Exactly.
I don't think.
And Nancy Pelosi said no.
I think I like Jasmine Crockett. I like AOC. I don't think they're ready for prime time. They're too young. I don't think they're national figures.
Do you think that Nancy Pelosi has been ready for prime time over the last 5 years?
Nancy Pelosi should have retired 20 years ago.
Chuck Schumer.
But I will say, like, people forget, and it's like, we need to be, like, reasonable in how we assess things. The first 2 years of the Biden presidency, in spite of having a small majority in Congress and a 50-50 majority in the Senate, was the second most effective term of Congress in American history in terms of just legislation that got through. And that, in large part, is on the leadership of Nancy Pelosi. Whether you agree with everything she does or all her politics or not, you cannot argue with her effectiveness as a leader. And, like, whether she should, like, and I'm not arguing that she should be the Speaker of the House or she's still leading the Democratic Party. I'm just arguing she was pretty good from 20 in 20 and 20.
Kelly,
No
she
one's
was
denying
also
that.
great. Pelosi was also great. The
And I
final,
shouldn't even say good, effective.
she was also
There
she was the most effective Democratic opposition voice to Trump in Trump's final 2 years of his first term when she was the speaker. Nobody stood up to Trump like she did. Look, I served with Pelosi. I used to make fun of her back in the day. Nancy Pelosi is a ball buster. She's brilliant and she's tough. Nancy Pelosi 20 years ago could lead this Democratic Party easily.
And she was one of the, anyway.
Yeah, actually, but it's not 20 years ago. It's 2025 right now, though. That's
I agree. She should retire.
I think that you know the Republican Party won with the youth, right? That's where we need to win.
Win with the youth.
People like Nancy Pelosi telling AOC that she can't be the leader of a committee doesn't fare well to the youth. Like I'm 35, I'm 35 this year. So like I see what the youth is seeing.
Donald Trump did not win with the youth.
He did better. That's all.
Better with the youth.
He did better with the youth, though.
He did better with the youth than he did.
And not because he went on Joe Rogan or because he did podcasts.
Kamala Harris won that generation 2-1. Like, let's not get carried away with repeating really bad Republican arguments.
And by the way, let's not get carried away with Trump's victory.
Yeah,
there was no mandate.
It was a very small victory. Real.
There was no mandate.
I got to tell you something. I don't blame Kamala Harris for any of it. I fucking blame Joe Biden for 99% of it. Shame on Joe Biden. Joe Biden ushered back in Donald Trump. He's a selfish, bitter old man who stuck around, who put himself before his country. I blame Biden, not Kamala Harris. She ran a very good campaign.
So Kelly might disagree with you on that. I agree with you though.
by like campaigning with Democrats and things like that, ideologically, are there any places where you found yourself moved to the left, where you've like had discussions with people and just kind of adjusted your worldview on any issues? Absolutely.
I've said this over the years. I mean, I'm still a Tea Party guy. I'm a libertarian guy. But my God, my views on the climate have evolved by listening to people. My views on gender have evolved by listening to people. My views on race have evolved by listening to people. My views on immigration have evolved by listening to people. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm no longer. I was a Tea Party asshole. I'm no longer an asshole. But I've also gotten pretty woke with some issues, and I embrace the word woke.
So you're more socially liberal, but you're still politically or fiscally very conservative. Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah, except like on some of the social issues, Kelly. Like I'm a big Second Amendment guy, but again, I'm generally leave me alone, let me live my life, stay out of my bedroom, stay out of my boardroom. I'm that kind of guy, so I can own that gun. I can say whatever I want to say. So yeah, I'm generally that.
I want to ask a question about that though, because like I feel like you have the opportunity to be the voice of reason for a lot of people that are finding themselves in a confusing state of mind in regards to the fact that like they don't want to belong to a party per se, but they have ideas that they agree with and they have people that they want to follow. So in regards to what you just said, you have changed your mind and become a little bit more woke. I will ask this for the Gen Z party, which I am not a part of, about your opinions on abortion, because you have had some opinions about that. And I think that
that's actually an interesting
is a big issue for people my age and younger. And so I'm curious to know where you stand on that.
Yeah, it's a big issue, and it may be one issue that would prevent me prevent the Democratic Party from ever embracing me. So what am I? I'm pro-life. I no longer call myself that because everybody's pro-life. So I oppose abortion. I opposed the Roe v. Wade ruling way back in the day. I wanted the issue brought back to the states. I wanted the people in states to decide. And generally, I oppose any of this really hardcore legislation in these red states where they want to outlaw abortion like a day after you're pregnant. But I believe, Neon, like returning it to the people, even in a lot of red states, they're not voting for these real restrictive abortion regimes. So I'd leave it up to the people.
But well, you're saying return a decision to the people when you're, I mean, not saying that you're doing this, but it sounds to me like when you say something like that, it's denying the fact that the people that are affected by this are women, and most women aren't being represented in a way that they should be in regards to the decisions they can make about their bodies and their lives. So that's why I guess even a better question for you would be, why are you opposed of abortion? Because you think that it shouldn't be a thing, or like we should never have these chaotic opportunities for us to want an abortion in the first place? I guess that would be my question.
That's why it's such a great issue, because my default is always freedom, keep the government out of it. But what about abortion, Joe? And so the complicating factor there is, in my mind, well, there's another life in this equation. So in an ideal world, a woman gets pregnant. There comes a point in that pregnancy where that other life inside that woman, if you plucked that other life outside of that woman, that other life could be saved. The state must protect that life as well. So in an ideal world, Neon, I think we're going to get to a place where we determine that point of viability. And after that point of viability, that life in the mother needs to be protected, even if a mother wants to get rid of it. But prior to that, the state stays out of the decision.
Joe, how many
right? And Kelly probably has better argumentative points than me.
So the thing is how many abortions do you think are done on viable fetuses where there's no risk to the mother?
Extremely few. I've always recognized that. I'm just so.
How many states do you think that's?
It's not the norm, obviously.
Like, and there's only 4 states, or I think only 4 hospitals in the entire country that will perform an abortion after 24 weeks.
I think there are more. I think there are more than that. I think, but
no. Only 4.
I think you're right. No.
Only 4, and after 30 weeks, there are almost, like, statistically, there are no abortions at all.
But hold on, my friend, common ground. Would the 3 of us who probably disagree on this issue, would the 3 of us all agree that at a certain point in that pregnancy, when that baby can survive, the state should protect that life, even if
absolutely
right? So
yeah, I have no. What I'm saying is,
well, no, some, but yeah, I think that's where most Americans are.
There are a couple of exceptions to that. One is if that baby has no chance to survive outside the womb more than like a few hours. So, like, there was one case where the baby had like big holes in the brain, and it was going, like, the mother would risk her life to have the baby, and it was like 28 weeks pregnant that she found out. Because what happens is there are some tests that they take at 20 weeks, but they're not conclusive, and then they retake the test at 28 weeks, and they find out, oh, this is actually so. Do you think that a mother should have to risk their life for a baby that's going to live for 2 weeks, or live for 2 hours, I should say? Like, is that, like, there? Would you agree there's some gray area there?
Oh God, yeah, Kelly, yeah, absolutely.
So I think mostly what you're talking about when you talk, there are very, very few viable babies that are aborted, or where it's even legal to abort them. So I think that your question is valid, but I also think that it's a bit of a straw man, in the sense that nobody's arguing the other side of that. Nobody's saying that women should just be able to abort viable babies, and it's not really a legal issue anywhere.
No, I know. I think there are some extreme left voices who say that. I think there are more extreme right voices who will say from the moment of conception, blah, blah, blah.
There might be some extreme left voices, but
I think
there's no one running on, like, there's no, like, there's no one with any power that's saying that.
I think most Americans are where all three of us just kind of landed. And I think America's going to get there. And I think because of that court ruling so many years ago, it denied America the political fight that America needed to have about this, because I think we'd already be there, even in the reddest of red states. And I think we'll get there.
If I can sit here and be just like a total asshole here, I'm listening to two old white men talk about my rights as a woman.
Agreed.
And as a rape, sexual assault victim myself, if I was pregnant with the person that assaulted me's baby, I would not want to have that baby. So I like the quality of life and the fact that life exists. My life is important, right? My life is important. And so like, I don't understand how that is lost on people.
Yeah.
Like, how is the idea of the fact that like I'm living, I could write a book about my life and my experiences and whatnot. This like fetus inside of me can't. It does not have, it doesn't have more rights to life than me. I'm living right now. Like I'm alive. And so I just question the validity of this whole argument and the fact that like you have opinions about it, but like it would be my life, like me as a woman.
Agreed.
Right?
Nan, I completely agree. I hear and I understand that, which again, I think even on this issue, most of the American people are closer to the Democratic position than the Republican position.
I agree.
And this is what infuriates me, because outside of this issue, the issue of transgenderism, that's another issue where most Americans are where the Democrats are, not the Republicans. But the Democrats are always so afraid to fight on these culture war issues.
And the Republicans are louder. Right.
Well, but
they're going out there being nasty. And that's what I'm like hoping that the Democratic Party learns is to be nastier.
But Democrats have been afraid to fight the culture war issues.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
And as someone who comes from right-wing talk radio, who engaged in a lot of the culture war, I'm telling you, Democrats, don't be afraid. Most Americans are with you on these issues. Get out there and fucking talk about it.
Like there's more laws against transgender people competing in high school sports than there are transgender people.
And there are transgender people
are trying to compete in high school sports. And I have a transgender nephew who is in high school, and I like his father is my brother, and his parents love him, and they're just trying to do the best for him. He's not getting surgeries and stuff. He's going to counseling. And so when you talk about transgender care, does that include counseling and being able, and they don't know what, this is not something that they're prepared to handle, or, it's like there's this extremely complicated, nuanced thing, and it's not that simple, and they want to simplify it and they want to demonize it. But I just wish the Democrats would say, you know what? Transgender people aren't the reason that you're not making it in life. Like if they're not the reason that you're not getting a pay raise. They're not the reason that you're not getting promoted at work. They're not the reason that it's the housing prices are going up. And why do the Republicans want you to hate transgender people? Is because then won't.
It's called a distraction. It's a distraction.
Don't let them distract you with little balloons. And that's what the whole transgender argument is.
And you're exactly right. And give me the name of the Democrat that's out there talking that talk.
And I agree with you 100% that is like I wish that they, the whole they them commercial that was so effective. I wish they'd come back and just said the Republicans want you to think that the biggest problem with this country is that we don't hate transgender people enough. There are much more real problems than the fact that transgender people exist, and that is something that doesn't even need to have a national debate. The fact they want to have this a debate is because they don't want to actually debate the real issues.
Just insert any topic, though. Like insert things that Republicans want people to be mad about. Put it in the quotations, and it's just a distraction. That's all that it is. Like, because the reality is that the Republicans are not doing anything that benefits anybody in general.
Well, but like that issue, and I used to do some of this back in my bad days. There's one example of one 17-year-old transgender woman who's competing with men in North Dakota, and that'll be on Fox News that night. Mm-hmm. That'll be on talk radio, and the entire Republican base will think this is happening all over the country. And the Democrats, so that's bad, but the Democrats then just keep silent about it. They don't do anything about it. Yeah. Trump spent $300 million on transgender ads in this campaign. Democrats didn't respond to any of it.
Yeah. And I think that the Democrats win the social wars if we fight them.
If you fight them.
You can't fight. There's a two-front war going on in the country right now, and the Democrats aren't fighting either one of them. There is the class warfare and there is the cultural warfare, and the Democrats aren't fighting back in either one, and that's why they're losing on both fronts.
That's why people feel so disenfranchised, and that I think is the problem. Is that, you know, a lot of, as you said, Joe, like a lot of people do agree on the Democratic side of things when it comes to abortion, when it comes to trans rights, and so forth. And the problem is that we don't feel that opinion or that those voices are being where our voices aren't being heard. Right. That's the problem. There's a problem with the messaging, or the lack thereof, really, is that there is nobody doing the messaging for us.
Well, let's be real.
It's bad.
Let's be real. Kelly, to your point a while ago, look, I'm not a Democrat. You could argue Joe Biden's first term was the most successful legislative first term we've seen in years. But but Kelly, we had a president who couldn't communicate.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we had an old fart in the White House who couldn't talk about what he did and communicate the difference he was making. So a lot of young people these last few years, oh my God, that old guy I do a lot of speaking on college campuses, mm-hmm. and I would try to tell them how uniquely bad Trump was, and they would laugh. They would say, these young kids would laugh and say, I know Trump's bad. Joe, what the fuck? Joe Biden's 150 years old. I get it. They think they all suck, and that's to Trump's advantage.
Yeah.
They like it that he's like a truth teller, but he's just like
except he's a liar.
But he's a meme guy. You can make a meme about him every day.
He's eloquent or something like what? Like it's so weird, you know. Like if you'd look at any transcription of a Trump speech, and it's just weird and nonsensical, or
but the youth love that shit.
Junk for 15 minutes.
Skipping toilet. Like that gets them off. Like they like that weird shit. Like we need to be putting out more weird shit, I guess. Like,
or but to Joe's point, cogent of the masses. Like if we just had a cogent thing, and into some, like Kamala Harris, I did this whiteboard video on what Kamala Harris's policies were, and I literally had MAGAs saying, "This is really good. Why isn't she talking about this?" And she was talking about it. That's how I knew about it. But the media would not represent what she was talking about. They would just sit there and talk about, whether she's giving interviews or whether the interview was edited or, all this other. They would not, like, they'll cut to Donald Trump's speech and show it live, but they wouldn't cut to what Kamala Harris was saying and show it live. They wouldn't discuss what she actually said in her speech. They wouldn't discuss her mortgage, her plan to supplement housing, or her plans to, You're right, Kelly.
You're right, Kelly. And we don't know the truth about who fucked who. Did Joe Rogan really not let her on, or did she not really want to go on? But the only mistake Kamala made was, from the jump, she should have gone everywhere. Again, that's my methodology. She should have put herself out everywhere. She should have gone on Fox News. She should have gone everywhere.
I do think she should have. I'm not saying she ran a flawless campaign or something.
No.
But I do think it kind of, the messaging thing kind of is irrelevant when the media ignores her message.
Well, but you got to go where people are watching, and people are not watching MSNBC or CNN anymore. Certainly not young people.
But if somebody's like getting inundated with Fox News or like Fox News is conservative, Joe Rogan is semi-conservative and mostly just stupid. But like they're getting
that part.
They're getting inundated with stupidity. All those hours a week, every week. And then, so she's going to come on for 2 hours or 3 hours. And all of a sudden she's going to reverse all of
go on there and give it to him, Kelly. Go on there and give it to Rogan. Give it hard. Pound him. Go after him.
No. But I wonder how many votes that's going to change. Like,
I really think,
but I don't think
at the end of the day,
she lost the election.
Do you really think at the end of the day, if she went on Joe Rogan, she would have won? Do you
No.
really think at the end of the day, if she was like, yes, I'm pro-Palestine, I condemn Hamas, however, I am pro-Palestine and like do not want genocide to happen.
Well,
do you think everybody was against her?
If she said I'm pro-Palestine, no, she wouldn't have won. All I'm saying is,
if she didn't even do that and she still lost.
If I were advising her campaign, the only mistake she made was from the beginning, they kept her cloistered for about a month and a half. And that was a mistake. She should have ripped her blouse off.
It was a good tactic.
Huh?
Yeah, she should have been like tatas for TT
everywhere. Go everywhere. Go on Hannity's show. Give it to fucking Hannity. Go everywhere.
Yeah, and I do like the idea that if you had a presidential candidate that would go on Fox and be combative, like I like fight back against some of this crap. Like I do think they really need a fighter. I think that there's too many. Like Obama was an anti-fighter. He was a reconciler.
Too cerebral. We don't need that.
Yeah.
And it's just that's not going to be effective right now.
No.
You've got somebody that's trying to fight this two-front war, and we need to fight back on both fronts.
Agreed.
You've got oligarchs running the country right now.
Yeah, right. There's an argument.
We need people to be. We need Democrats to be pissed off about that and fighting back against the oligarchs, not just fighting back against Republican talking points, but fighting back against actual oligarchs that are actually taking over the country.
Yeah, there's a collection of like being collected as a people, and there's an argument for that, and being collected as a people, generally speaking. I think that the conversation about that, the Democrats need to figure out how they're going to collect the people, because obviously it's not going the way that they think it should go or the way that they want it to go. And I think that the messaging is really the key here. It's like, talk to people, meet them where they are. How do we get people to come onto our side? And it's not even like a Democratic or Republican side. It's the side of right. Just the right thing to do, like doing the right thing. How do we get everybody to agree about basic shit, right? And I think that they've struggled with that messaging, and that's where they're going to have to learn in these next 2 or 4 years how to figure out how to talk to people.
So Joe, we are
this was fun, guys. Thank you.
It's an hour, and I
know.
like to keep guests past their commitments. So
that's it. I'm done. I'm out of here. You guys have been terrible. I want out.
I really enjoyed our conversation. I like the more I get to know you, the more I just feel like I can appreciate you, even if we don't agree on everything. Although I think we agree on more things than we did when we first met.
Boo! Sure. Yes.
So you're coming around. You're learning. Pretty soon you'll learn I'm right about everything. And then
you've rubbed off on me.
Now, if only I can get my wife to do the same.
Listen, if I can surround myself with smart, gray-haired, old white men like you guys, I might life.
My hair is not gray. My beard is.
Oh, it's getting there. Come on.
Hey, thanks, guys. This was fun. Thank you both.
Yeah.
Thanks
Again,
a lot.
we'll have you on again soon. Really appreciate the time.
God, would love it. Thanks all.
All right.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye.
Thank you. Great to meet you.
You as well.
So that's it. We're going to end the stream now.
Good show.